Hello, YouTube. It's Carrie here, otherwise known as Fresh Orangina, coming at you live this morning on YouTube for Vloganukkah 2.0. Day 5 again. I'm a little bit late. I'll do better tonight, hopefully. It's been busy. I had a pain day yesterday, and so that's when I'm kind of useless. I want to talk about the benefits of gardening today. I've noticed this year, especially since COVID hit, there are a lot of people who, since they were home, because of the issues in the food system that were sort of revealed this year, a lot of people started their first garden this year. Because of the run on all of the supplies, not everybody could start their garden this year. And so there are many people that I know who are starting, who did start either this year or are starting next year. And so they're gathering everything they need right now in order to have it ready to go in the spring. When I started gardening 6 years ago, the circumstances that sort of led up to that was that I was dating somebody at the time who was from a traditional Greek family in Toronto, and his parents grew a big, huge, massive garden in the backyard. And this was the first time I'd sort of been in that world of home gardening really to that degree since my very, very young childhood. I remember when I was very young, like maybe 5 years old, my dad making a garden at our house, and I remember him getting manure to put on the plants. And I was like, oh, that smells so bad. What is that? And so my dad told me that in order for the plants to grow, you have to amend the soil with cow manure. And that blew my mind. As a kid, I was like, oh my God, food comes from poo. Like, it was just like, blew my mind. And I wasn't really involved in that until much later. Like, agro stuff and food was always sort of my dad's world. And I kind of ventured other places. But when I started gardening, when I was introduced to that idea of that home garden, and I started researching a little bit, I realized how limited our choices are at the store. And having grown up in an international environment, that was mind-blowing to me. I am the person that always goes and finds the ethnic markets to shop at because I like the diversity of foods. I cook a lot of different cuisines, just in like every day. I cook Asian, I cook South Asian, South American, I cook like all kinds of European dishes, a little bit of everything. And when I opened up an heirloom seed catalog and saw everything inside, it was like a wonderland of food to me. Everything it's so beautiful. Like, the heirloom varieties are gorgeous and vibrant, and the way that the catalogs describe them make them look so good. And so I started with that. And my first garden was planted, actually, it was at that ex-boyfriend's parents' house. We just added a few things to the garden, but it was the following year that I really, got to Freddie and got to Finn. And that's when I got my first allotment. So I was still living in an apartment building. The benefits as I see them are truly threefold: mental, physical, and spiritual. Okay. This is kind of huge. People talk about starting off your day right and doing meditations. When you have a garden in the growing season, you're going out there in the morning and you're seeing your garden in the morning, and like going out there with your coffee first thing in the morning to observe your garden and to see what you want to harvest and what needs to be dealt with. That time is very special. And I see that also very spiritual. Like, you are in the moment when you are there. You are immersed in your garden. You are with everything that you created. And there's something very special about that. And on the mental health side of that, that's huge. That's really, really big. Just even getting outside, being around things that are growing. There is an amazing psychological side to that, but there is also a physical effect that helps your mental health stability. In healthy soil, in natural healthy soil that is not killed by Roundup, that the natural fungi and beneficial bacteria are in the soil, they have a direct psychological effect on us. And in fact, there are studies that show that the effect is almost similar to that of taking an antidepressant. So you go out there and you get your hands, you're planting, you're harvesting stuff, you're sticking your hand in there to pull out the carrots. That point of contact between the soil and your hands is having an effect on your mental health, right? We have to remember the body is an ecosystem. We're not man is not an island unto himself. We are worlds in ourselves, and interacting with the bacterial world on the outside as we normally would as a human animal on this planet is important in order to regulate the systems in our bodies. And this is something that when we live in a modern world, we forget about this. It's something so important and vital. The other aspect is a physical aspect. So you're out there, you're moving, the type of exercise that you get when you garden is very different. For instance, if you are harvesting carrots, you are sitting in a squat position maintained for minutes, right? Like, and you know, your body gets used to it because it's part of sort of like what you're doing in navigating that world. You're reaching. It's almost as if you're doing like a whole Tai Chi routine for like an hour when you're out there working in the garden, whether you're tilling, whether you're doing, there's physical stuff that you're doing that puts your body in positions that it's not used to being in. And so it's a different form of exercise. It's actually really good for your body. We're going to have to ignore my crazy dog when Mary's working. Okay. I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker now. So community, that's another benefit. You would not believe. So when you start getting into gardening, you start hopping onto these gardening groups. Here in my community in Niagara Falls, I have met so many people through my local group. And in fact, current boyfriend, I met through that group. We have a lot in common because we deal with it in our gardens. It becomes something that we obsess about and talk about, and we cook together and like share all the wins together, and we share our frustrations about the things that don't work and like different ideas. And it's a great way to create and form community. Health-wise, it's huge in terms of diet diversity, in terms of natural foods and the microbes associated with natural foods, right? When you get this at the store, when it's grown, it is probably going to be grown with a whole bunch of pesticides, right? There's a lot of bugs that like to eat this. So when you grow it in your garden, you can manage the bug situation yourself. And because you're not growing a giant, huge field full of this, you're not going to be attracting the bugs in the same way. So the natural stuff that comes packaged with this plant, and then you eat it, you're getting that in your internal system, and that is affecting it in a positive way through the natural microbes associated with those foods. So health, knowledge about food, and knowledge about the environment. So right now we are in a time of great change when it comes to environment and the stability of this planet. The climate change that is happening right now, you might not really be keyed into it unless you're growing food. Because when you're growing food, you know exactly when your first and last frost dates are. You know how the seasons compare to one another and how the seasons are changing. I can tell you, I'm growing a winter garden for the second time this year. And this is like the third year in a row that we've gotten milder and milder and milder winters. And so it affects my growing plan, but it also makes me really, really keyed into what is happening in the environment and maybe what we have to do as a whole, as a larger society in order to fix these problems. And so we can start talking to our friends about this, and maybe it'll influence their purchase decisions. And we'll go to a model that is more focused on sustainability, which is what we really, really need. The other thing is the knowledge about food. You know, like you might not know what a cardoon is. Like, you know, when it used to be something in Europe that was super common, and in some very small communities, maybe it still is. But because it's not something that is grown on a large scale commercially, we never see it in the store. So you might not know what it is. It might be your favorite vegetable and you don't even know it exists. So I strongly, strongly encourage everybody in bariatric community to grow something. And even if you can't grow a garden, you can use a little light, and you can grow microgreens super easily. Just even that small amount added to your diet, those natural microbes with that natural food will help you to digest everything else that you're eating. So it's a win-win all the way around. All right, I'm out for today. Ciao, guys. See you later.